how is Puffy responsible for Tupac's murder?
Not just Greg Kading, the entire Los Angeles Police Department have been working day in, day out to unravel the mystery that is the murder of Tupac and the notorious B.I.G. Now, the result of this non-ending investigation has shed more light on the whole case, and now it seems to be clear that the killer might have been under their nose all this time. Initially, LAPD Detective Greg Kading had been investigating the murders of Tupac and Biggie for a significant period of time, and in the year 2023, he has finally revealed some of his discoveries. The nature of these conclusions is far from ordinary and could have significant implications.
Detective Greg Kading says he has proof it was Sean Diddy Combs who orchestrated the murder.
Starting with his findings, LAPD Detective Greg Kading has recently revealed that he has concluded that Tupac's murder was orchestrated by Orlando Anderson, a member of the Crip gang in Compton, with Anderson's uncle Kev D being the star witness for the task force. Kading also alleged that Anderson was in the white Cadillac from which the shots were fired, and that Sean Diddy Combs paid Anderson's group $500,000 to kill Tupac and another $500,000 to kill Suge Knight. But Anderson was never paid for his alleged involvement in the murders. However, Kading stated that if Anderson's intention was only to get away with it, he would not have included all the details he did. According to further disclosures by Greg Kading, Biggie's murder was committed by Wardell Poochie Faust, a member of the Mob Peru Blood Gang who was paid $13,000 by Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records. To conceal her identity and testify as a critical witness, Kading refers to the mother of one of Suge's children as Teresa Swan. Moving forward, Diddy has denied any involvement in Tupac's murder. Knight, who is currently serving time for a separate murder charge, is not available to comment to any media outlet and has remained silent on Kading's research. Unfortunately, both Anderson and Poochie have been killed since then, for different reasons. As we all know, the investigation did not result in the arrest or charging of anyone related to either of the murders. However, according to Kading, the reason for this is that the department was not as interested in prosecuting either of those cases as it was in debunking a conspiracy theory.
Unfortunately, it's an unprosecutable case for a variety of reasons.
Biggie Smalls' mother alleged in a federal wrongful death lawsuit that the department attempted to conceal an officer's role in her son's murder. For those unfamiliar with Greg Kading's reasoning behind these assertions, here is the backstory of the investigation spanning several years. In 2009, Kading was removed from the task force during an internal affairs inquiry related to an unrelated case before his team had completed building their cases. Despite being exonerated of any wrongdoing, Kading retired from the agency shortly after the task force disbanded. Kading, on the other hand, presented their results in Murder Rap, a self-published book that was released in 2011. Michael Dorsey's documentary, which also happens to be titled Murder Rap, was then released later on iTunes on the 2nd of February 2016. Question now is, what new information does the documentary Murder Rap offer that wasn't covered in the book? The documentary corrected a typographical error in the book's final pages, which erroneously identified the car containing Biggie's gun as a black Impala. The editors had overlooked this mistake. The documentary team made the necessary adjustments as they knew that Poochie owned a vehicle matching that description, and reports suggested that Knight had given him the car in exchange for 2 customized Chevrolets. In addition, they knew that Suge's Impala was painted in a distinct color, black cherry. Therefore, they were able to track the sale of the green Impala to a Chevrolet dealership in Phoenix, Arizona. However, when they discovered this information in 2009, the records were no longer accessible, preventing them from tracing the paper trail back to the car's initial order in 1995 or 1996. Anywho, from the looks of things, it is essentially Kev D's word against Diddy's regarding to his supposed role in Tupac's murder, right? Well, while Diddy had previously implied his desire for the public killing of Suge and Tupac, there is currently no way to confirm this claim. However, other reports corroborate Kev D's statements to law enforcement officials, lending more credibility to the matter. On the other hand, there is no evidence linking Biggie to Tupac's murder, despite rumors suggesting otherwise. It is highly unlikely that he was aware of or consented to the killing, and while he may have learned of it after the fact, law enforcement officials have found no evidence indicating his prior knowledge. This leads us to our next set of inquiries. Suge Knight, who was in the vehicle with Tupac during the Las Vegas shooting and sustained a head injury, has stated that he was the intended target. However, conflicting reports suggest that he sustained only minor injuries. What is the truth behind these discrepancies? It would be more accurate to say that you are bending the truth, Suge, rather than outright lying. While it is true that a bullet fragment or metal debris from a vehicle can lodge in the base of the skull, it is not the same as being intentionally targeted by a bullet. It is certain that Suge sustained an injury to the back of his head and received medical attention for the wound. Medical professionals opted not to perform invasive surgery to remove a piece of metal located near the base of his skull to avoid further harm. While it is possible that the injury was caused by a bullet fragment or a shard of metal from the car, the exact cause will never be confirmed. But then, virtually everyone has accepted that the assassin, Orlando Anderson, is indeed Tupac's killer. So why wasn't he found guilty and put behind bars or executed? The Las Vegas investigators, particularly Detective Kading, faced significant obstacles in their investigation as their suspects were located in distant Compton. However, the Compton Police Department provided extensive assistance, going above and beyond to aid the investigation. It is true that Las Vegas police conducted search warrants and raids in Compton shortly after Tupac's murder, gathering as much evidence as possible from the residence where Orlando was ultimately arrested. However, due to the suspect's distance and limited evidence, the investigators had to rely heavily on circumstantial evidence. As there were no witnesses who could definitively identify him as the shooter, the investigators had to operate strictly within the confines of the law. The sole piece of evidence linking him to the crime was a video of him being assaulted by Tupac and his associates at the MGM Grand shortly before Tupac was shot. While a possible motive existed, he was not present at the crime scene. This presents a significant challenge in proving his involvement in the shooting. To summarize what we've talked about so far and where it leads us, a former member of the Los Angeles Police Department has alleged that Sean Diddy Combs, a music mogul, paid a Crips gang member $1 million to carry out the assassination of Tupac Shakur and his manager, Marion Suge Knight. In addition, Greg Kading headed a special LAPD task force that investigated the deaths of Tupac Shakur and Biggie Smalls. Also known as the notorious B.I.G., Biggie Smalls was a close friend of Diddy's, and it is believed that he was killed in retaliation for Tupac Shakur's murder. Both Tupac Shakur and the notorious Big were fatally shot, Tupac on September 13, 1996 in Las Vegas, and Biggie 6 months later in March 1997 in Los Angeles. Tupac was killed in a drive-by shooting. These assassinations were believed to be the violent climax of the rivalry between artists and fans of the West Coast and East Coast hip-hop scenes in the 1990s. Since then, the public has remained fascinated by the mysteries surrounding the unsolved cases. In the meantime, Greg Kading, who spent 3 years investigating the cases as the head of a special LAPD task force, claims that music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, previously known as Puff Daddy, hired Dwayne "Keep Kef" D. Davis, a member of the gang, to murder both Tupac and Suge Knight. According to Kading, Orlando Baby Lane Anderson, Davis's nephew, was the one who carried out the shooting, in which only Tupac sustained life-threatening injuries. According to Kading, in order to exact his revenge, Knight paid Blood's gang member Wardell Poochie Faust $13,000 to take the life of Smalls. During the investigation, Kading claimed to have obtained a confession from Kef D regarding the events leading up to Shakur's death, leveraging the threat of severe charges for another offense. However, Kading's team ultimately closed the investigation into both deaths after exonerating the department of any potential involvement. As he has stated, Kading stated that due to Combs' celebrity status and the fact that 2 of the suspects had died for unrelated reasons, the police decided not to pursue official charges. Additionally, the department did not want to proceed with formal charges because of the 2 deceased suspects. Furthermore, Kading acknowledged that he was removed from the task force due to a separate internal affairs investigation. Although he was eventually cleared of any wrongdoing in the investigation, it tarnished his reputation and led to him being labeled as a rogue cop. The Los Angeles Police Department has also not commented on the case, even after multiple attempts by several outlets. That's all for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Goodbye.